Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a. She wasn't a princess by fairy tale standards, but she lived in a good house with nice parents and a generally happy childhood. The only problems with her childhood never occurred to her until much later. And at 14, she met her first love, a boy called Sam. Sam promised her perfection, the sun and the stars in the entire galaxy. But most importantly, promised her that she would be happy, happier than ever before. When she would get upset, he would show her pictures of all the beautiful things they could have. And she would be okay for a while. But then she would get upset again because while she was promised these things, her wishes were never granted. That's the weird thing. That's the weird thing about being promised perfection. It's a goal we set for ourselves, a goal we can never attain because it's the biggest lie we can tell. Now we all know that any relationship built on false promises and lies is toxic, but it took our princess a long time to realize this, longer than it should have, longer than she's proud of. In the duration of their relationship, which lasted about a year, Sam started demanding she be happy, but only if she did it the Sam way. She wasn't okay with that. So she started speaking up more, standing up for herself, choosing to make herself happy instead of relying on Sam's unattainable standards, because she knew that it was a beautiful lie which she would never achieve perfection. So she ended it with Sam. Not your ideal love story, huh? However, in the wake of her toxic relationship, the princess grew and thrived. She became smarter, more conscious, more aware of all the things around her. Deeply, not outrightly. She felt proud, confident, all the things Sam told her she would never feel. This is a story I think most of you can relate to. Maybe you're still in that toxic phase. A little confused? Well, replace Sam with your body image. Makes more sense now? Let me cut to the chase, because I can keep telling you the story of this little girl, or I can tell you mine. The catch? They're the same thing. Replace Sam with my body image, and I was that girl. I'm a lot of things now, but perfect still isn't one of them. What I am, though, as I would like to believe, is a storyteller. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aashana Daru, and I'm going to be telling you a story. A story about a search for perfection. A search always left unfulfilled, a search that always left me feeling rather empty inside, but a search that was supposed to leave me feeling joyous, ecstatic, elated. I was that little girl in search for something perfect, something to aspire to, and something to look upon. I was unconfident. I didn't feel strong or happy or powerful like all the girls in the media. I felt weak. I felt unconfident. So that picture, that's me at 14, feeling that exact way. I wanted to put that feeling into a number, but unfortunately, I was too conscious to ever check the scale. Too haunted by the idea that the number wouldn't be perfect. And then along came the idea of wanting to be thin. And boy, I loved it. The idea had been hanging around for years, ingrained in my subconsciousness. All of marketing and every Bollywood film I ever watched told me that the happiest people were thin. So to be happy, I'd have to be thin. Duh. This idea was so appealing at first, and I was so in love with it, so deluded by the idea that one day I and my body could attain the state of perfection, the state of ultimate happiness. When I would get upset that I wasn't looking perfect, this idea would claw its way back into my mind, and I would find myself looking at pictures of models and actresses on the screen, ultimately convincing myself that I too, one day, could look like this and be happy. One day. And then, one day became this siren call that gripped me. So this picture, that's me the next summer at age 15. I still didn't think I looked perfect, but I looked much closer to it than the year before. But why not? This idea of perfection didn't dissuade me from eating well and eating healthy. I would still eat my fries and donuts, just less, with more control. The biggest change was that I fell in love with working out. Ironically, inspired by a video of a model talking about the importance of working out, I started it too. When you want to be happy, do as the already happy say, right? I love the soft buzz of the treadmill, the hum of the elliptical, and the let's get fit atmosphere of the gym. But despite everything, I was still doing this with the motivation of wanting to be thin, to be perfect. You know how I know that? Because while I looked visibly more confident, I was still too scared to step on a scale, still too haunted by the idea that I wouldn't be perfect. The fairy tale was fresh and alive, forever growing in my mind. I stayed in that mindset for a long time, longer than I'm proud of. To be thin was to be perfect, and by extension, and the only way to be happy was to be perfect. After all, come on, how could Katrina Kaif or Selena Gomez always be smiling? Because they were thin. Duh. The real change happened the first day I picked up a weight. It was a 4 kg dumbbell, with which I was going to do some form of leg exercise. I don't remember which. What I do remember was feeling strong, powerful, undefeatable. And then, of course, came post gym soreness. I didn't feel quite as powerful then, let me tell you. But I thrived. I pushed my body more and more. I craved the adrenaline I craved the adrenaline rush that came with it. The stares you get at the gym when you're a girl loading 20 kg plates onto both sides of a barbell. It pushed me to be thin, but not the earlier thin, a strong thin. I'm still that same girl I was at 14, just not looking for the validation of being thin. Now, the validation of being strong. I love it thoroughly. The feeling of being comfortable in your skin most of the time. It's unparalleled. It's unparalleled to the excitement you feel when you see that you've lost weight or that your legs look cleaner because you realize that it doesn't matter. The point still remains. Why did I want to be thin? At some point in everyone's lives, they wonder about their weight. It happens. Overweight or underweight, just muscle mass or fat. We're all in search of the right number. And spoiler alert, there's no right number. A quick question. Can we have a show of hands of everyone in the audience who's aged 18 or younger? That's a lot of people. And I find it very hard to believe that all of you weigh what is standardly healthy. Because according to the World Health Organization, all individuals under 18 years of age should weigh 60 kgs or below. Whether you're over or whether you're under, at some point you've looked down at your body, looked at a picture of a model and said, I want to look like that. Social media, as usual, is demonized for popularizing this want to be thin. But what we realize is that we consciously consume this information. We'll watch the Victoria's Secret fashion show, stalk Hrithik Roshan's Instagram to marvel at his biceps, or watch Gigi Hadid box to get Gigi's abs. And then we wonder why we want to be thin. We so consciously ingest these standards and then subject ourselves to them. A while ago, I decided to make a change. I unfollowed every model, every person on my Instagram that made me want to have that body. It made my feed kind of boring. It felt empty. And that's when I realized just how much of this information I consume on a daily basis. Of course I want to be thin. I keep seeing a picture of Kendall Jenner in a Calvin Klein bikini in a photo that is undeniably photoshopped with millions of comments under it saying, wish I had that bod, with 8 different emojis. On that note, even the pictures we see online are so thoroughly edited. Kim K's body is not shaped by her corsets and her fat loss lollipops. It's shaped by a trainer, a very expensive dietitian, and an even more expensive gym. On following celebrities like that, people who promote these agents to make you rapidly lose weight, it helped. I now follow celebrities from shows that I like, figures who travel a lot to explore the world, and kind of funny meme accounts. It helps. Every small step you take helps. I stopped reading articles about what contributes to weight gain and stopped watching workout videos with genetically thin girls telling me that I needed to cut out all carbs and fats. I didn't want to eat boiled oats for every meal, and so I didn't. No one ever has to. I now eat healthy, sustainable meals that keep me full. Instead of becoming thin, I chose to become healthy. Like I said, somehow that's more satisfying. Weights make me feel strong, more in control. For friends of mine, football does that, or cycling, or yoga, or Pilates, or reading a good book. Feeling strong is not about the thing you do. It's about how the thing you do makes you feel. And the end goal? What do you want to feel? Thin is not a feeling. It's just an adjective. An adjective that clouds all of our minds and takes over our lives, but an adjective nevertheless. At some point in this talk, this must have crossed your mind. It's very easy for her to stand up there, having done all of her research and having lost all this weight to talk about this. She's thin, so of course she's going to tell me that it doesn't matter. Is it possible to actually is it possible to actually get rid of this want to be thin without becoming thin? The answer? Pretty much, yeah. Look at icons like Natasha Deol, a TED speaker, Ashley Graham, or even Lizzo, who are not thin by any means, but are living their lives truly and wholly. It's constantly being projected to us that thin is beautiful and beautiful is thin. A toxic cycle not only perpetuated by social media, but also by our mindsets. Once we change our own mindsets and the way we look at ourselves, we can change the end goal of what we want to look like. Let's stop asking relatives about their weight at family gatherings. Let's stop asking random people in the lift how they lost so much, because trust me, it happens. Let's stop being so delighted when we say, oh, you've lost so much weight. unless we know that that was their intention. Or even better, let's stop pointing out people's physical appearances when we meet them. Thank you.